The mystery of the Jinn. In the shadow of ancient mountains lay a quaint village surrounded by a vast, dense forest. This forest, known as the Whispering Woods, was veiled in an air of mystery. The villagers believed it was home to supernatural beings, Jinn, creatures of fire and smoke who lived hidden from human eyes. Stories of strange lights, haunting sounds, and the occasional disappearance of livestock had earned the forest its fearful reputation. No one dared to venture into the woods, especially after sunset. It was said that those who entered would either lose their way forever or return with tales of horror so vivid they would never set foot outside their homes again. Ahmed's quest. In this village lived Ahmed, a curious and brave young man who had grown tired of these stories. Ahmed was different from the other villagers. While they avoided even talking about the forest after dark, Ahmed's mind raced with questions. Were the Jinn real? If so, what were they like? Why did they inhabit the forest? One moonlit night, as the village gathered around a bonfire, an old storyteller shared yet another tale of the Whispering Woods. Once, a traveler ignored the warnings and ventured deep into the forest. When he returned, his hair had turned white and his eyes were hollow. He spoke of a council of fiery beings, their leader with eyes like burning coals who warned him never to return. Ahmed, who had heard enough, stood up. "These are just tales to scare us. Has anyone here actually seen a Jinn?" The crowd fell silent. The elders frowned, but no one spoke. That night, Ahmed made up his mind. At dawn, he would enter the Whispering Woods and uncover its secrets. The journey begins. The next morning, armed with a lantern, a knife, and a small bag of provisions, Ahmed set out toward the forest. The villagers watched him with a mix of awe and fear, whispering prayers for his safety. As Ahmed entered the forest, the atmosphere changed. The sunlight barely penetrated the thick canopy above, and the air was cool and damp. The usual sounds of nature, chirping birds, rustling leaves, were replaced by an eerie silence. For hours, Ahmed walked deeper into the forest, marking trees with chalk to ensure he wouldn't get lost. He encountered ancient ruins covered in moss, strange symbols carved into tree trunks, and an unsettling sensation of being watched. As night fell, Ahmed lit his lantern and decided to rest beside a large boulder. The darkness around him was impenetrable, and the silence was heavy. Just as he was about to drift off to sleep, a faint, flickering light appeared in the distance. The first encounter. Curious yet cautious, Ahmed followed the light. It led him to a clearing where an enormous tree stood, its roots twisting and curling like the arms of a giant. Beneath the tree, a circle of figures stood, their forms shifting between solid and smoke. Their eyes glowed like embers, and their presence exuded an aura of power. Ahmed's breath caught in his throat. These were the Jinn. One of them, taller and more imposing than the rest, stepped forward. His voice was deep and resonant, echoing through the clearing. "Human, why have you come here? This is not your place." Ahmed bowed his head slightly, trying to hide his fear. "I seek the truth. My village is plagued by stories of your kind. I wanted to see for myself if they were real." The Jinn leader studied Ahmed for a moment, his fiery eyes narrowing. "You are either very brave or very foolish. Few dare to disturb us, and fewer live to tell the tale." The hidden truth. Ahmed took a deep breath and asked, "Why do you stay here, away from humans? What is it that you fear? Or perhaps, what is it that we should fear?" The Jinn leader's gaze softened, and he gestured for Ahmed to sit. The other Jinn stepped back, forming a circle around the two. "Long ago," the leader began, "humans and Jinn lived side by side. But humans, driven by greed and a thirst for power, sought to control us. They used forbidden magic to summon and bind us, forcing us to serve their selfish desires. In retaliation, we retreated to places like this forest, where we could live in peace. He paused, his voice growing somber. But even here, humans come, driven by their curiosity or arrogance. Some seek power, others riches, and a few, like you, seek answers. We protect our sanctuary fiercely, for it is one of the few places left where we can exist without interference. Ahmed listened intently, his heart heavy with the weight of their history. I understand now. I meant no harm. I only wanted to understand the truth. A warning and a gift. The Jinn leader nodded. Your honesty has spared you. But heed my warning. Not all of my kind are as forgiving. Some would have destroyed you for trespassing. Leave this place and never return. As Ahmed stood to leave, another Jinn stepped forward, holding a small, glowing orb. Take this, the Jinn said. It is a token of our encounter.